Hello students, I have a little bit of information for you, but first I wanted to start with a riddle. So this is a diagram, a representation of two different things. Take a look at it, try to digest it a little bit, and try to discern, try to figure out what these images might be meant to depict. You can pause it here if you like, if you really want to think about it, but I'm going to press on. So one thing to notice here is that we've got 8 items and they are all the same size. They're in order 1 through 8. What we're looking at on the left there is a visual representation of assignment number 3. So for assignment number 3, which I am currently grading, you wrote similar annotations for each source that you found. Every annotation began with a bibliographic citation. Every annotation included at least one quotation, and you were also assigned to situate that source within the larger conversation. But each one of your annotations looked pretty much the same if you zoomed out far enough, and you spent about the same number of words talking about each source. Now, as you see over here on the right, the circles are different sizes, they're arranged in something of a different order, and there are even 2 that are purple. So you've probably already guessed it, or at least I bet some of you have, right? On the right, this is an image depicting part 1 of assignment number 4. So part 1 of assignment number 4 is a literature review, or a bibliographic essay. For the most part, you're going to be working with the same topic and the same 8 sources you looked at in assignment number 3. The difference, though, is that you will not spend an equal amount of time talking about each individual source. So as you see here, number 7 gets more space than number 2. They've also been arranged, clumped together, using some sort of logic. I think the part that was hard about assignment number 3 was that synthesis work. Because all of your sources were in alphabetical order, it wasn't always easy to signal the way that number 4 may be connected with number 7. But for assignment number 4, in part 1, it'll be much easier to do because you are going to be writing paragraphs rather than annotations. So what I've tried to demonstrate here is the way that source 8, 10, 6, and 5 all connect together in some way. They have something in common, and so maybe I would talk about all of them in the same paragraph, and that paragraph would take up between a third and a half of part number 1 of assignment number 4. Sources 2 and 9 are connected, but look how little room they take up. I would only have room to briefly mention them. And then source 4, 1, 3, and 7 also connect in some way, and they take up about a third to a half of my total paper. One last thing. So the reason that some of these items, the reason that some of these items are purple is because assignment number 4 requires you to find 2 new sources about your topic. So 9 and 10 are purple because you would not have had them in assignment number 3. I'll put this Microsoft Word document on Moodle so that you can refer back to it, but I thought this might be a helpful way for you to visualize the way that part 1 of assignment number 4 is very different from what you did in the annotated bibliography. Now, I also wanted to hit just a few of the other high points about assignment number 4. So again, we're looking at a quarter of the course grade because we're working with fewer assignments than we were before COVID struck, so be sure to make a note of that. Also, some very strict word limits, and eventually I'm going to tell you to focus on efficiency. You spent way more than 600 words writing your 8 annotations. I'm now asking you to summarize 10 sources using only 600 or fewer words. So you really have to be efficient and concise. Okay, so that 600 words relates to part 1, the literature review, which is also called a bibliographic essay. Basically what you're doing is writing a few paragraphs that summarize what your sources say about your topic. I think a lot of you will be a lot more comfortable with this because you're used to thinking in paragraphs, you're used to writing paragraphs, than maybe you were with the summary assignment or the annotations. So I would read every word of this if I was you. Your grade is obviously riding on this assignment, including all the required parts. So part 1, 600 word literature review. Part 2, only 400 words, comes after the literature review because it is built off of it. So you get to pretend that the 10 sources you look at tell your reader everything that we as humanity know about your topic. So what that means is that you then get to propose some sort of additional research that will find out something new about your topic. Try to be creative. Try to have a little bit of fun. You get to imagine that you have unlimited time and unlimited resources, by which I mean money, to add something else to what we know about your topic. You could literally propose to build a laboratory on the moon, if that made sense as a way to find out something new about your topic. Do take some time thinking about it, though. Obviously, you don't want to do anything immoral or dangerous. So try to come up with some sort of further research that wouldn't get you in trouble, right? And you won't actually do the research, right? You are not required to actually carry out the research. So you can be as creative as you want as long as the research makes sense. Your audience is somebody who is filthy rich and could fund your research and knows a little bit about the field in which you're proposing to do further research. Okay? So the final draft will be due on the 28th of April. We'll have another online peer review session on the 23rd of April. In the coming weeks, I will present a PowerPoint presentation on how to use these phrases well in a paragraph. And I think this will work really well in this assignment because pretty much all of you have found two sides on your topic. So it should be pretty easy to work these phrases into a paragraph. And I'll also explain what em-dashes are and how to use them. And you'll be ahead of the game if you notice that this sentence would meet the requirements. So these long hyphens up here are em-dashes, and they're called em-dashes because they're actually the same width as the letter M. So notice that they work almost like parentheses in that what comes before one and after the second works as a sentence. Unlike the annotated bibliography, for your literature review, your goal is to focus on the zones of contact in the scholarship on your topic. But whereas parentheses pretty much signal, hey, you don't have to read this, this is extra information, look at it if you'd like to, an em-dash doesn't de-emphasize this clause as much, right? So it's about rhythm, it's about meter, and squeezing an extra clause into a sentence without saying, you don't really need to pay attention to this. So here's an example of a sentence that uses em-dashes to incorporate a clause. And actually that one is not an independent clause. So I'll come up with another example for you so that I do not mislead you. Okay. If you have questions, remember to use the question and answer forum on Moodle. And that way, when other people have the same question, they can find the answer there, or I can direct them to the answer there. I hope you all are doing well. Please do reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help you work through some sort of obstacle, some sort of challenge. Take care.